welcome to another episode of Tai Chi with JJ. Uh, Today's subject is a basic breathing, and its importance in everyday living. So, most people don't think about how they breathe, and if you go along and think about it, you should take a breath and see how deep you breathe normally, and you should go along and note how you do. Do you go along and when you inhale, are you raising your shoulders to inhale? If so, you're not going along and maximizing the potential of your breathing. So I want to discuss the unthinking breathing, which is what we do is walk around, but more specifically the concept of the Buddhist style breath versus Taoist breath. The Buddhist style breath, okay, first of all, we go along and Tai Chi and Qigong deals with basically 5 points, psychic points, besides most familiar people are most familiar with the lower Dantian, the middle Dantian, and upper Dantian. They're associated also with chakras. Besides the upper Dantian, we have 100 convergences, which is the top of the head. Technically, it's the last place that goes along and closes up as a baby's skull develops. You can also find it, generally you can identify it with the hot. If you go along and pass your hand over your head, you feel a hot spot. That's generally where your 100 convergences is. The other point is the tip of the coccyx, tip of the tailbone, or more precisely, perineum. And those are psychic centers that you're going to go along and have open up and let flow. So let's first of all talk about the Buddhist techniques for breathing. Buddhist technique for breathing is basically you extend your abdomen as you breathe in. You should go along and prevent breathing through the mouth. You should breathe through the nose. Go along and build a magpie bridge. Let's curl your tongue up, touching lightly the roof of your mouth, but not touching the back of your teeth. And go along and keeping your lips closed. Breathe down the lower dantian and out. You should go along and breathe in and out through your nose. And to locate the lower dantian, thumb on the second joint of your first finger, stick your thumb, belly button, push in where it goes into the, again, that's approximately where the middle dantian is, and it's argued it's somewhere between the surface and an inch and a half in, or somewhere between the spine and the belly button. That's the lower dantian. So if you go along and what I experience is go along and put your hands around lower dantian, fingers at the lower dantian, and breathe in, extending your abdomen, and breathe out, contracting your abdomen. This takes a little bit of practice because most people, when they go along and try to go along and breathe, will by habit raise their shoulders to go along and try to increase the volume that they're inhaling. This is okay, but it's not totally effective. This draws the air deeper into the lungs, is one of the ways of doing that. And this is the kind of breathing you use in your lying, sitting, standing, or moving meditations. The other kind, Taoist type of breathing, you can go along and instead of extending the belly button or lower dantian as you inhale, you contract the lower dantian as you inhale. And what this does is this forces your lungs to go along and fill the lower back part. So you can go along and feel this by going up, having your hands above your kidneys, below your rib cage, and if you go along and feel it during the standard Buddhist type of breathing, you don't feel much of a contraction. But if you go along and pull the belly button in as you inhale, you'll notice that it tends to open up the lower part of the lungs. And this is a more advanced technique. Usually what you want to do is start developing Buddhist breathing as your normal mode of breathing. Both when you're normally doing something, exercising, or trying to keep calm in traffic, or dealing with family and friends, or other other entities. But it can be a very calming thing. So if you're going to practice the Buddhist style breathing, go along and cradle the lower dantian and practice inhaling, extending the abdomen, and exhaling, contracting the abdomen. And this is another thing that you're going to go along and have to have happening automatically as you go along and struggle with keeping your mind clear in meditations. After you have become used to breathing deep with the extension of the navel, lower dantian, as you inhale, you'll consciously want to start developing the Taoist type of breathing, which is the contraction. And I suggest you do that in times of sitting meditation or lying meditation to begin with. Talking about meditation, let's go along and say one of the basic forms of meditation that we have in Tai Chi, besides the moving meditation of the form itself, is the iron post or bean pole. And basically, in order to do this meditation, it's a standing meditation, and what you want to do is you want to go along and have your feet parallel to begin with. Have your knees slightly bent. You want to go along and have arms by your side. What you want to do is raise your hands, and in this case I'm going to extend, I'm going to go along and put 95% of my weight on my right foot, about 5% of my weight on my left foot, extending the left hand a little bit beyond holding the ball of chi, building the magpie bridge. Do the standing meditation. Generally you want to start with about 2 minutes, which means do a minute of the left side, and then make the transition to the right side, which is you shift the weight through the even and weight, and then shift so that your left is dominant, 95%, your right is recessive, basically 5%, extending the right hand just a small bit, about 1 inch beyond the tips of the other hand. And practice this. You want to eventually work up to something like 30 minutes. Then it's fun. It's a lot of, I find it very entertaining. And if you practice these calming techniques, breathing techniques, you can go along and help yourself in very stressful situations. Over the years, I've had several students go along and tell me about how they've used the breathing techniques to calm themselves. One in particular, which was very interesting, was during a root canal. So you can go along and use this as one of your concentration points. I want to talk a little bit about lesser heaven circulation. Remember that you have lots of different meridians in your body. The chi flows in these meridians. The ones we're most interested in for lesser heaven circulation are the conception meridian, which runs from the tip of the tongue down to the perineum or tip of the tailbone, coxal, and the governing meridian, which begins at the perineum, goes up the spine to the top of the head, and then to the roof, inside roof of the mouth. By building the bagpipe bridge, you join those two meridians, and it opens the flow of chi. So, in lesser heaven circulation, you can go along, and one way of practicing it that I was taught is to go along and inhale. As you raise your hands, turn over at shoulder level. Exhale, down towards the center. Turn the hands out. Inhaling, turning over at shoulder level. Exhaling. So the breathing pattern is in, out, in, and out. As you go along and become more practiced, you can go along and slightly straighten your knees as you expand, slightly bend your knees as you contract. Now, as you're going along and inhaling at the beginning of the lesser heaven circulation, imagine you're going along and bringing the chi, the breath down to the lower dantian as you inhale. As you exhale, you're moving from the lower dantian to the tip of the tailbone. As you're going along and bringing inhaling, bringing the hands up to shoulder level, you're bringing the chi up from the base of the spine, tailbone, up to the shoulder blades, and then as you exhale, you move the chi to the point at the top of the head, 100 convergences, and down into the roof of the mouth, which goes along this link with the tongue magpie bridge to the conception meridian. And do this about 8 times. Certain points at the lesser heaven circulation that you want to go along and bend. When you inhale in the first part, come up to about your diaphragm. Exhale. You go along and bring the chi up to the shoulder blades, up to the shoulder level. Don't go higher, too much higher than the shoulder level. And sink back down to the lower dantian. In closing, you can go along and do a standard qigong type of closing. And that qigong closing is basically you turn your hands, feet parallel, shoulder length apart. Each side they bent back, straight, not lock, shoulders back, not lock. Go along and bring up your hands above your head, keeping your eyes on the horizon. As you exhale, you watch the floating fingers as they come down and rest. So it's very important to you that you remember to breathe, and how you breathe is extremely important also. Thank you very much.